Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Do you see little things now?
No, it's, no.
No, it looks normal now.
See the red light.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No
No.
worries. I just, I get nervous about it a lot, so I
Yeah,
know
no,
what
thank
it looks
you.
like.
No,
Thank
good
you.
catch.
I'm very sorry.
It's okay, we can start over. You want to start over
Do you want
quick?
to do it again?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, so
yeah.
we'll start with the roll call. Rob, actually, today is January 22nd. It is the DEI Advisory Committee. We'll start with attendance. Go around the room and say who's here. Rob, we'll start with you.
Rob Mezzanotte, Assistant Superintendent.
Sally Davidson, Equity, Belonging, and Community Engagement Coordinator.
Aaron Earl, School Committee Chair.
Jen Lima, School Committee Member.
Kali Ishmael, Community Member.
Mary Lowe Presti, Parent Advocate.
Will Moss, Junior at NK High School.
Sue Curley, School Psychologist at Quinnesset.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, everybody. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, awesome. Okay, so we have a few things on the agenda, and I think most of them had been somewhat touched on at the last meeting, but I think, and jump in if I am wrong or misheard anything, because I did watch the meeting, one of the action items, there were two action items out of the last meeting. One was around the equity vision statement, and one was around the student survey. Does anybody have a preference which one we go with first?
The vision statement.
Okay, so I did create a group, Google Drop for people to, the idea was to put suggestions in there on, you know, a plan for, the talk was about a way to roll out the equity vision statement to the district, and we were trying to think of ideas and ways, that could best be accomplished. I think I sent it out to everybody. Does everybody have a copy of it? Do I have a copy of it? Okay, I do. So, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to publicize the vision, you know, get it out front and center throughout the district, and then after that, get an equity communication plan that'll go along with that vision, and making sure that the community understands like what the equity vision statement is, why we have it, and then basically what we're going to do with it. And so some of the things that the advisory committee had talked about previously when rolling this out was to talk about, you know, what is an equity vision statement and what is it not. Like, it doesn't replace the mission statement or the district vision. We talked about, you know, at the same time that we roll it out, providing education about like why racial slurs are wrong, and like education behind that, and making sure that teachers have the information to do that, making sure that people understood the difference between this and Title IX, because I think there's like some like crossovers sometimes when people think about like reporting incidents, and making sure people know if there is an incident to happen, where does somebody go to, you know, how does that happen, confidentiality, and then that was what had been talked about in a prior meeting. So Sally, you had some great ideas that you dropped in here. Do you want to talk through them?
Yeah, sure. I have to refresh my memory about all the things I added, but I mean, first and foremost, I think we had talked about putting it on the webpage in a very prominent place, and I think the equity audit report recommends not just NKSD.net, but also each individual school's site page. I think it's worthwhile to use our Facebook to announce this as well, because I think that reaches an additional audience. I think it should be posted in a prominent place in the buildings, like in the form of a plaque or a banner. I think Victoria at our last meeting had mentioned that we might have students kind of create video or audio sharing the vision statement and what it means to them, and she had talked about also putting it on the NKHS morning announcements, which I thought was a really good idea, and I think we could maybe take it one step further and have students, maybe some of our committee members or older students who are passionate about this, bring the vision statement into the other school buildings, at the middle school level or elementary school level. We had talked about creating a progress rubric, and we do have some tentative plans to have a sort of focus group or a small group work on that during our PD day in March. and we talked about sharing the vision statement verbally with all staff during the PD day in March as well, if not sooner, but the beauty of the PD day is that we'll have everyone in one room and we can do it verbally in addition to, you know, kind of asynchronously and digitally. I think that wraps it up, but I'll look again at the list.
Yeah, I think that's what,
I think the only thing you missed, and if I didn't hear it, was the event. Consider planning an event.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody, did you, yeah, did you say that? And
I do have that on here, now that I look back at it.
No worries.
So that would take more planning, right, and coordination, but I think it's a loftier and worthwhile goal. I don't know whether it could happen this spring, but I think in time, it would be really nice to have an event where we do sort of showcase our diversity and make the vision statement well known during that event. Because I think events that really like celebrate student talents and their diversity will draw in an audience that we might not reach through email or other means. So.
we should probably also, like, as I'm thinking of this, Rob, like, this goes back to what we talked about with, like, the Title I engagement policy and how the schools are kind of, like, implementing that. Also, this would be a good thing to kind of tie into that also, maybe, and spread that message through however they're disseminating that information also.
Yep.
Other people have thoughts about ways to potentially spread the word and recommendations that we might want to make to the school committee about how this group thinks it would be best accomplished?
I think I would like to, in addition to, you know, having this like inclusive and, you know, diverse focus, is really keeping the visibility of the disabled student population, or neurodivergent, somehow there, and incorporating that as well, because I think it's easy to think of this as just like through maybe one lens, and to maybe broaden that.
No, I think that's good. Can you think of a way to engage, to make sure that we're being, like, to specifically enforce that message with that targeted group of our population?
I mean, ideally, if there were students who were like self-advocates, I think that's always really powerful. And I don't really know like what the population is at the schools. I mean, I kind of, when my son was in school, I kind of got to know some of the families, but if there were students, that would be like ideal.
Are
There
there
is
any
that at the high school, if there's any students that you know that are active and self-advocate, so that might be a place to start.
Are there any students on CLAC, Erin?
No.
No.
They are welcome.
Yeah.
And I think there's something in their bylaws about having one, but I do not believe that they currently have a student that comes consistently.
Yeah, that would be great if there was. I think during my tenure there, we had a student come a couple of times, and that was great. I think the way the CLACs are set up around the state, they really try to encourage is large of a population, so it's not just parents and administrators, so you know, so you have some faculty. So I think also engaging some of the teachers in the special education department would be great, and there's definitely a few who are regular attendees.
Okay. Okay. Well, what about you?
Any ideas, Will? Feels like it's been turned.
I'm surprised.
I'm proud of you for
I'm
being
impressed
here.
you're here.
I know, I am too. I appreciate it. Will's like, it has been
I
a
have
long
sports
day, don't
marketing
ask me
tomorrow. I don't
questions.
have this.
Don't say that.
Yeah, just stop right there.
They creep in.
Sorry, what was?
Just like ways that you think it would be good to like engage, cause we have this vision statement, we, like Rob said, I was rewatching the meeting, like we worked super hard on this, like we put a lot of effort into it, and it's just sitting there, so like,
Yeah.
instead of just having it get lost in like 1,000 emails, how can we make it noticeable?
I really like the idea of having students going into other schools and maybe promoting it. with the other student paces, but, I don't, the announcements, I really liked the idea that Victoria had, but otherwise I can't really think of anything else, but,
Have
yeah,
video?
putting it all over the school buildings I think would really help,
Mhm.
just so like everywhere you go you see it, instead of, like seeing it at the bottom of emails and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I think would be really important to put in school buildings instead of just having it in writing.
Do you have thoughts on location, and don't say the spine?
Other than,
Other than the spine, where would it be visible for the high school?
probably the cafeteria, the
Yep.
auditorium, maybe the gym, places where you know every student will be
Mhm.
at some point during the year.
I always like things like in front, like where the water fountains are, or like where students have to be
Yeah.
in line, so like in line for the food, or like, you know, like where they're stagnant and just kind of staring and like could be
Mhm.
looking
Yeah,
at
yeah,
something.
Yeah, every kid accesses the cafeteria every day, so
Yeah.
that's always a good place.
Yeah, I like that idea of the cafeteria and the gym, and of course the spine. Jen, I had added a couple to the document, putting it in the student handbooks.
Yep.
Giving it to families, who are joining the district, like at the, like, am I in the wrong doc?
No, you are, yeah, or in the correct one.
Giving it to families who are joining the district, either at like the kindergarten level, like, you know, when they get all the stuff, or at entry, like if they're coming in at a different time, like a flyer or something like that. Definitely reading it at the school committee meeting, just like give some public, like announcing it again at the school committee as like the kickoff.
Having some students, especially younger students, come in and like a multi-age that at the school committee meeting to do a presentation on it could be.
That's a lovely addition to my idea, which was
Yeah.
you reading it, but sure.
I like my suggestion much better.
Read it to school, yeah, students. I love that idea. Putting an ad in the local papers, and then I added Bill's, which was having, older students go and explain it to the younger students.
Is it something that could be like presented at a town council meeting?
Oh.
Noted.
Also, does the high school have like a student-led like publication, like a newspaper?
They do, actually, yeah, current weight.
That might be on the list then, I
Yep.
guess.
Yeah.
If there was an older student that would coach one of our students, I have several fifth graders who are very willing to be in the public spotlight, very willing, who would be great and who would take it quite seriously. They would just need some coaching, and I could help with that.
Oh, I love that.
And then that actually kinda gives the connection to the high school and what, it just could do a couple different things for us. So if that's something we wanna do, Carol and I would be happy to select and work with whoever wants to come down from the high school to do some coaching.
That's a great.
And we're fun at Quinnesset, we are the funnest, so just saying.
One of the questions that one of the members who couldn't make it today raised, and I think it is something that is like worth discussing, was, and I'm gonna read what they said. Does a publicized rollout of the equity vision statement accomplish what we want? Like, does it actually help? Maybe the rollout and the prominence should be almost secondary to rolling out the goals and initiatives that we're actually trying to accomplish. For instance, information on why racial slurs and other hate speech are wrong and what happens when there is an incident is something I think would be more important to be publicly posted on display than the actual equity vision statement. And I think maybe a way to combine the two, like with like, because that kind of goes to like what it is, why we made it, and like the purpose behind it. I thought that was it was an interesting point to consider, like to do it, because I think that goes back to like what we heard in a lot of the feedback from the actual like responses was like to make sure that it's not performative and that it's actually like something that there is some substance behind. And like talking about like, well, like you were talking about like the announcements and everything, and you know we talked in here about reporting. Like I know they all get trained on it like at the beginning of every year, but I'm not entirely sure how many North Kingstown high school students are surfing the school district website. No offense. So like maybe like combining, like getting that reporting piece out in that same type of messaging, right? Like targeted specifically to the students in a way that is engaging.
I would say I agree and disagree with the comment from the community member that can't come today. I think that we have to start with like the vision statement,
Yeah.
right? Because the vision statement's here, and I do agree that like on the website or before we roll it out, we do need to have some teeth behind the vision
Yeah.
statement and kind of, you know, we had talked about at one point like having different buckets or different
Yeah.
tiers on what was happening and the work that was being done. But I do think like you have to start to have a cultural shift and to have a mindset shift of a district, like you have to start with the vision.
And that's
you
what
have
I
to work
told her,
down.
yeah, I
And
said,
so
yeah.
I agree that those things are important, but I also think we cannot
Not move,
not hesitate on on rolling this out just because we don't have every single
I agree.
duck in a row.
I agree. And that's what I said, it's almost like the chicken and the egg, right? Like you want to have the initiatives and the actions in place, but without something that's driving it from the top down, you can't, and like you don't wanna wait, and so, but I think maybe trying to like combine the two, especially like you said, like not just putting it out there and then they're having nothing else live anywhere, except for,
I also added, we could do a art contest for students, like if they wanted to, like do something with like equity, like what is your, like, what does this vision statement look like to you in an art form? Yeah,
I love that.
of course you do.
Right.
Of course you do. It's because it's so, it's cute. I think it would be really good, and I think we'd get really cool stuff from students at
Yeah.
different
Get
levels.
cool
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah.
And then I put a sign off on Aspen, like it doesn't have to be like an official thing, but like we've talked, like, you know, there's all those different
Yeah.
things that family members have to read and review, and so
Yeah.
that could be something, or a place to put it, even if it's not a sign off. And then, I also put like, have every level suggest like their own rollout, so like you kind of go to the principals and you talk to them about it, and then asking them what their ideas are for how it would best
Work in their
work in their
Yep.
school, or have the teachers give feedback or suggestions on how else we could roll it out. You know, like, and that's in addition to, but I think they know their students in their
Yeah.
buildings a lot, and they might have some really cool creative ideas or things that could be done district-wide or at their buildings that might help, like, ground it for their
Yeah.
students. Do we want to talk about like timeline and like what, we can't do all of these things at the exact same second?
No, no.
So like order and timeline?
And that was my other question, like, do we want to make a recommendation to the school committee with like specific things, or do we wanna say, we are recommending that there be a rollout, and these are some of the things that we have brainstormed, and then let the administration, and the school committee decide like what the best path forward is from there?
I think that, and identifying resources needed.
Yep.
Cause like, we know we have some administrative buy-in, right, cause they're here, but like, as far as like what the school committee might need to allocate for buy-in, like for some of the things,
Yeah.
like that is something that the school committee has to
Yeah.
do,
Do.
right, and so, I don't know if, Rob, you have any thoughts
Well-
on that piece, or?
Well, when you say buy-in, like, what do you mean? Like buy-in to like what we're doing?
Yeah, like, so this, in theory, the advisory committee would make a recommendation to the school committee.
Yep.
Like, I feel like we have buy-in that you all are willing to roll this out.
Got it, yeah, okay.
Like, I don't think that's
All right,
but what resources might you need to do this, right? Or like, you know,
Okay.
like, so for example, if we wanted to do, like, a recommendation from this committee could be that, you know, the North Kingstown School Committee, like, suggests the administration does the rollout by this date, right?
Yep.
And then we could also say, and allocates, you know, $500 for an ad and whatever it might be, like quantifying like what would be needed that we have not previously budgeted for.
Mhm.
So that,
Mhm.
like, to make it, like, you can't
Another
say do it
unfunded
without,
mandate,
yeah, we can't do it
yes.
unfunded,
We're
yeah,
gonna
I
make
don't want it
our own.
unfunded.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think the recommendation to the school committee is to allocate money from this
Yeah.
fiscal year, and work with
Yeah.
the administration to figure out where that money could come from.
Yeah, so part of me wonders if it should be like maybe a tiered process, like we have like a cluster of things that we do like at one time, and then we have another maybe cluster of things that we do like a little time down the road, and then we have more of a staggered approach like that, just to kind of keep the topic coming back, and not have it just be this going, all right, check it off, moving
Right.
on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But have a little more of an approach that way to do it, and that way I think it's also like, you know, it just keeps bringing people back to the goals and back to what you know, what we're working towards and reminders and things like that. Having it presented in different ways, I think would be a good way to have it become more of a living statement,
thing.
you know? That's just my thoughts. You
No,
know,
I
I think these are all good ideas, but I think sometimes like we want to be strategic, so it's not like all at once and then, you know what I mean, then it's like it kind of
Hey,
can have
what,
the.
didn't we have a vision statement? Yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, can we like ask for a few somewhat specific things?
Yeah, we can ask for whatever we
Like-
want.
Mhm.
Like the easiest of, that I assume it's not that difficult to like put it on the website, like have like some specific bullet points of like, this is the first part of the rollout is like a website, an email or whatever.
Signage for the schools, so that the
Yeah.
messages in all
But
the
like-
schools, which actually costs money.
Yeah,
Like
'cause,
banners,
like,
you're gonna do a
plans
banner,
will
it costs
cost
money.
money, and then like presumably take a little bit of time to
Mhm.
get made, but we can put it on the website before.
Before those
The
things
plaques are
happen,
ready.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I think how it looks on the website is something to think about. You know, like is it like on the website? Is it a link off the website? Is it, you know what I mean? How is the display gonna
Yeah.
look?
I don't know if it's too much work, and it might be, but I really do like looking at those little rolling student ones. I don't know
Mhm.
if there's somehow we could have it with like students.
As a rolling picture kind of?
I do, and that's the part I
Mm.
like the best of the website, I'm sorry.
Was that Victoria
Sorry.
Will holding the vision
Sorry.
statement? It'll just roll through.
Yeah, like how it looks is
Yeah.
kind of important,
Right.
like the visual of it, you know?
I think that's a great idea.
You know, like people might not really understand there is a lot of diversity of different kinds in North Kingston, and if we had some way of, you know, I mean, I don't know, because I am not a media specialist, nor am I young to really understand TikTok and all those things, but like everybody has a word, and then, you know, and then by the end you get the whole message, but you get to look at lots of kids that are diverse in the meantime and say, it's not us, these people saying it, it's, we're doing it to support these kids who are cute and amazing and smart and deserve a future.
Mhm.
And, you know, you get people to buy in by emotional stuff.
Mm.
And looking at kids is, well, I mean, how I get bought, I mean, why am I still here, right? So, I don't know how that would actually work. I am an idea person, not a person that's good with like any kind of technical stuffs, but.
Well, but I also think that like your point is a good one in that it comes back to, students are at the foundation of everything we do, right? They're at the foundation of the statement. And so it's important to make sure that that is heard, you know, that is really what the message is that it's about the education of all students, about all students having a connection to school, belonging in school, opportunities to thrive in school, all those things that we believe in.
And to contribute to schools,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, all of my students, they know they need to contribute to that community, and
Mhm.
that is so important.
What if, like, and this is kind of like if we had a thing, and I'm just throwing it out here, like, for like the equity vision statement, where we had like just a bunch of random kids, right, from all over the district, all different varieties,
Mhm.
with a little, like, cause this is all belong, right? Like,
Mhm.
I belong, like with a little sign, and just
Mhm.
like,
Oh,
you
that's
know,
cute.
I
I like that
just
stuff.
Mhm.
having it like roll through, right?
Mhm.
Or even just a wall with like, you know,
Mhm.
20 pictures or whatever, kind of showing like that everybody does have a place here.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that's like essentially a social media campaign,
Yeah.
right? Where, yeah, I would love to be
Yeah.
part of something like that. Bring our Instagram account back, and
Mhm.
We have an Instagram account?
there's an old one.
Really?
We do. We do.
Okay, so what do we wanna do, like, Rob, what do you think from an administration standpoint, like, makes the most sense in terms of, like, easy lift, hard lift, like, what's reasonable, and Shivali, like, you're like, I had too many things on my plate, like, I mean, just, cause to be, like, realistic about, like, what could be accomplished before the end of this year,
So off the
like-
top of my head, easy lift is, you know, we have a plan for the March PD Day to make this a like a focal point to the entire staff, you know, to, as this is gonna be like, you know, worked into that morning session that we're gonna do. So that's an easy lift.
Okay.
What date is that?
March 28th.
Alright.
You know, I have to say, like, I do really like the idea of an art piece. I really think that's a nice idea, you know? Again, I don't wanna speak for the art teachers, obviously, you know what I mean, because they have a lot on their plates and there's a lot going on there, but I think that could be a really cool way to bring this to life.
It doesn't
know?
have to be them either, like,
Right.
like if they wanted to be in,
Right.
they
Yeah.
could be, but it could also be something, I've had my kids in things like this where like we do it at home,
Yeah.
like you,
An
like, you know,
extra-
like you,
extra
yeah,
credit
so
or
it doesn't
something,
have, it could be facilitated by the staff, but
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be, and it doesn't mean that they don't believe in equity if they can't do it, like they have their curriculums and their plans and
Right.
whatnot.
Yep.
I really like the idea of the, sorry, did I
No, go.
Yeah.
I like the idea of using art in it. It kind of reminded me, there's this thing that my grandparents do down in Florida, it's called Embracing Our Differences, and it's a big thing where they get high school students to do huge, like, murals. We can do like a scaled down version of it, I guess, and they all like do a drawing showing their like differences, and there's a big thing about it, and I thought we could do something like that,
Oh, that's
where
nice.
students could make their own thing showing their difference, I guess. And so, yeah, I thought that could be a good idea. I don't know, it might be a stretch, but.
No, I like it, Will. I do.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I think, you know, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I think this is a message of empowerment. I think it's a positive message. You know, I really do. I think it's a positive message, and that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about the ability to thrive, opportunities to thrive, students to feel empowered, and feel like they can be proud of who they are, and all those things. And that's the message to me. It's a great message. You know, I mean, I love that message, and I think that's what we need to
Right.
celebrate. You know, I like the idea of like the I belong thing. Like, I think that's cool. Like the visual of it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
You know, it's that simple fact that this is who we are.
Yeah.
You know.
And tying it in like with what was so like okay, so my thing is different than your thing, which is different than your thing, and that's fine because like we all belong in this space regardless of, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would
So-
be happy to connect with, CLAC's next meeting is not until, I believe it's February 26th. That's like another 5 weeks away. But this Saturday, they're having a more informal event. It's called Cafe Connections, so it's open to any parents in the special ed community. I looked on the Facebook page, they don't have the location. The last one was at North Coffee, so I'm assuming they're still going to continue it there. It's 10 o'clock on Saturday, and I'm planning to attend that. So that might be like just a smaller place to maybe get some feedback from parents who have children who are neurodivergent, disabilities, and maybe get some input from them.
That would be
And then I
great.
could like report back.
That would be great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I feel like we want to make a recommendation, right, to move forward. So how do we want to do this?
What about the banners? I mean, those are not that, like, we can order them as long as there's budget money, we can order them very easily and get them in pretty fast. I think that's,
Yeah, the banners are good. I think they're good. I
Rob has publicly said he doesn't like the banners.
I know.
It's probably
What
I'm
are
just
banners?
saying, it's on tape, I remember.
No.
What
Here's
signs?
my
Why?
thing is like, and again, this is just
I'm not
me.
wrong, right?
Well, this is just my experience a little bit. Like, I grew up as an educator in the world of mission statements. You know what I mean? I grew up in that world. People might have, and I've just seen it where I've seen the schools with the big, expensive mission statements on the wall in the library, and it's a big block of words. You know what I mean? And it's not bad, but it's also, it becomes just a block of words on
Another
the
thing
wall.
that you say.
You know what I mean? And it almost, again, from a messaging standpoint, I've almost seen it where it becomes this thing where it's like, oh yeah, remember we did that and we checked it off the list and we put it up there? So I'm not saying it's like a bad thing, but I also, I hesitate a little bit just because of my experience with that.
You think there's better ways to get the message
do.
out? Yeah.
I do.
I just think sometimes when you look at the thing again and again and again, it just, I don't know. it
You're
has a-
both right.
Yeah.
Like you don't wanna just be performative and put it on the wall and be like, cool, we're good.
Mhm.
Right.
But also, like, for a daily reminder for the staff and students in a building, it can be good too. Like, I see both perspectives. I think it's what else we do that matters immensely. Like, you can't just do the sign.
Right.
I was thinking about how to organize and like whatnot, and so like there's the initial launch, right? Like the kickoff, for like a lack of a better word, and the couple things that would go along with that internally. Then the community launch and like the things that would go on with that, because you'd want to internally first launch it with the school department and the school staff and everyone, but then you do things like the town council and the public ads, you know, like that. Then it would be telling the North Kingstown community. But then the third piece of it is like the sustainability piece of the communications. And so I feel like when I was looking at our list, you can organize it like that. So like, you know, things like putting it in the handbook is a sustainability one. Things like the art contest might be like an internal launch one, or if you make it for anyone in the community, then it's an external launch one. You know, like, so I think we could organize it like that.
So you said internal launch, external launch, and then sustainability?
Yeah, that's how my brain
I actually like that,
organized it.
I like that framework.
Thank you. And then when I was thinking about what would cost money, the signs would cost money if we did them. We'd have to consider if the web development would cost money, because like it is easy, but it's not easy. Like to create a web page that's done well, like
It's hard.
it's hard, and I don't know what the staff's resources are, so there could be some
We have Canva,
need there. We
just
have
saying.
Canva?
We do.
No, but like who would do it?
I could.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have, I mean,
Well, okay, so maybe the web isn't a money thing, but it could be. If we wanted to do advertisements, that would cost money, and then if we were going to do some sort of contest, like that could cost money. So
And if we did an event,
yeah, if it an
you
event,
gotta think
yeah.
about money for an event.
Yeah.
Maybe
Thank
we
you,
know
I
how to
missed
be
that one.
cheap, but you do need some money.
right.
We have digital art classes in the high school that we can see if they wanted to take it on as a project,
For what part?
to create some of those materials.
Or we could just pay people to do
What?
it. Or just pay people to do it.
We can.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird, but like that's
No,
what
I think
that's what people do.
You can feel that's the way you
Yeah.
go, it's okay.
No, it's
It's funny, what, we can do that, we don't have to do it? As,
how much of those off not I'm not gonna hold it, but like the sign, a big sign that
So we print them at the high school. We have machines that print them
you have a
through
big
our.
printer?
We have a
Poster
so
printer.
We
You
can make
printed
like
it?
signs
You can
like
print
that.
that there?
Yeah, like
What about
Rob
that?
Silvana's program does that for us.
But-
We budget for it, so we have.
So
Yeah.
the mission statement is on like a plaque
Yeah,
somewhere.
so that was done from the program.
Okay. Cause I feel like the equity statement, if we're gonna put it on like a plaque, it should like rise to the same level as the
Mhm.
mission statement.
Yeah.
It should, it shouldn't be like mission statement is like this embossed framed
And
thing,
then
and
like
then,
the
and then the
cardboard.
equity
Yeah.
statement is like a,
Laminated copy paper.
yeah.
Our mission
Um,
statement isn't like
I was gonna say,
everywhere though,
where
no?
is our mission statement?
It is, we have them printed. It's in every classroom.
Yeah, but they're like small, like, right?
They're pretty decent.
Cause I saw the Skipper inclusion
Skipper
pledge.
is that size.
Really? In every classroom?
So does it cost me money? Does it cost money?
Well, I mean, it depends how, like, what are we talking about for the whole district?
Like if I wanted to print something like that and I wanted to do 9 of them, do we need money?
We could do it from our budget.
Great, perfect. I think like we need like $3,000.
I was thinking too,
Cocktail.
but I wasn't thinking that we
I
could
wanted
have
to say
people
5,
pay people
but-
for things. So I was going two, so if you're willing to
If
pay.
you're doing an event, an award
Wait.
thing,
$3,000 to cover which, everything,
Well,
not like the
this
first
year's
initial stuff.
rollout.
no, I think like if you look at all the things that we wrote down, a lot of them are not free. They don't have cost. The signs, if you take the signs out and you take the web development out, it's the advertisements, the awards, and a kickoff event.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think you could do that for $3,000.
Okay.
I mean, you asked for 4.
No, I think that's fine, just.
What do we think, what are our thoughts on the kickoff event?
I don't know, but if you don't have any money, you can't even start thinking.
No,
about
I
it.
understand, I know that, I'm just saying like, I think that's, something that would have to be, I think, carefully planned.
I
So-
wonder, go ahead.
I will say when I added that idea, I was looking at, I believe it's called the Wheeler School in Providence.
That is a school.
Thank you.
They
They're-
would have something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they-
they spend money on
They would likely have some money.
right, I know, so, I'm aspiring to some of that. They do a multicultural showcase event, and I watched some of it, and we could use it as a model, I think. But basically what it did was it asked students, to come forth with, some kind of like, I don't know, something that they wanted to educate their community about. It could be like some dance that comes from their background or is just like a current cultural kind of phenomenon that they want to present to their community, or it could be like slam poetry, or it could be, you know, lots of different sorts of like presentations that was all student-led, student-driven, and even the MCs were students. It was really fun to watch. I think we could use it as a model, and we could also showcase our equity vision statement at the outset, put it on programs if we created programs. So that's where that comes from, that idea.
And again, I think like the recommendation that we have to make is to the school committee, right? And so like to the school, the administration is execute, right? Like they would figure out those details. The
Yep.
school committee controls the policies, the budget, right, in those pieces. So I feel like the recommendation has to be tied to the resource piece, because if we allocate those resources, then the administration can figure out how to implement said resources.
Yes.
We can get this, I mean, the list will
Yeah,
go with it, but
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's not like we could say, I don't think we wanna like get to the level of saying like, this is exactly
You're
what
gonna
we
have an
expect.
art show on May 3rd.
Yeah, like, it's not that, like,
Yeah.
that's
But
like
we would
the-
work with this
Yes,
group,
yeah,
obviously,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, like,
Yeah.
it's the same, but it's different, but the one piece that we need to get, like, the school committees, in theory, or at least work with Dr. Duva on figuring out is resource allocation, because this was not a budgeted expense last year.
Mhm.
Like, you know, like, so just figuring that small piece out, but I do think it's small, like,
Yeah.
to, even to do it well.
Mhm.
Cause I love that idea of that event, it makes me think of, like, we went to the democracy night, yes, we saw you there. But even like some of the students were telling me about things from their culture and their backgrounds about food and about like different things, and they were teaching me different things, and it was very cool. And so, and even thinking about like we went to that art thing at the community center at that time and getting to see, like, I love stuff like that. I think it is really cool. So like I think that's what you would want, like something like that would be really neat, like meaningful, like not just like okay, yay, the vision statement, but like
Right.
kind of showing some of those
The only
pieces.
thought I have on that, and again, I don't wanna be a wet
okay.
blanket on it, but like, an event like that where we are asking, it's gonna be student driven, I would think, right? The timeline is gonna be a factor, just because of the amount that students have on their plates and like having to fit it in at a certain time, so I worry a little bit about just where we are in the year, if we wanna do it this year, things like,
No.
okay, alright, so, am I overthinking this?
That's
I
like
was
fall.
thinking that would be like next
Fall.
year.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
Got
the
it.
community
Alright.
launch part in
Got
my
it.
head.
Okay.
Like
Alright.
that's not
Alright.
phase one.
Alright.
Down the line.
Alright, I'm just,
Rob's
A
unwinding.
lofty goal.
No, I get it, and I think that to me is the community launch
Yeah.
piece. Like you could do it at the library or at one of the schools and invite the community. Like that's that in my head. That was a little
Okay.
Yeah, like the
farther
art
away.
show that we went to at the library, and then they had the thing in the room, and like,
Yeah.
That was nice.
I mean, if we did it
They
when
did the awards and
Yeah.
stuff.
before it was
Okay.
freezing, we could spill out outside, you know, if we needed to,
okay.
you know.
So with that said, it would be like we're obviously working on FY 26 budget. So it would be like some resource allocation for that, and then also like for that year's budget, but then also if there were things internally that we wanted to do, if we did want to do like a contest or something, like that would probably be the only cost for the spring for internal lunch, unless you want to do something for the teachers and like get something. I'm trying to think of what, I don't know, like a
So I guess part of me is just thinking,
bookmark.
like I like the framework of internal, external, sustainable, right? I wanna try to get on the same page in terms of, are you thinking like a timeline with each of them? Like, are you thinking like internal for the spring external for like the fall next year, or are you looking to do like internal and external spring?
I feel like that's a lot in.
I think so too.
So in
Yeah.
my mind, it
Internal
was
spring.
internal this year, external like as
Okay.
we head into next year,
Okay,
and then sustainability like
I like that too.
after that.
Yeah, I like that too. Sometimes it's like, you know, going too fast can actually take you backwards, you know, if you're not thoughtful about it.
Mhm.
So I'm okay with, yeah, I think that's good. All right,
And you know, maybe that we can also think about ways to kind of just like reinforce over the summer, like any communications that go out, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just to kind of, so that it's not like, oh, look at all this, and then nothing, and then people come back in September, they're like, what are you talking about? You know, just to kind of keep the internal part going.
Yep.
Okay, so how do we wanna, so
I'm
we're,
ready.
all right, okay, thank you. And I love the idea of presenting it to the town council and making it like a town-wide,
That would be the goal.
like.
Hold on a sec. You could do something like the DEI advisory committee recommends to the school committee that they launch the internal rollout of the equity vision statement, including a website, like visible signs, and like teacher and student education, in the spring semester with an allocated resource of $1,000. Is a motion.
Do we not want to do like? Add on to their, like, maybe not with specifics, but like phase one. The advisory committee recommends a three-pronged approach, you know, and here's the specifics around our recommendations for phase one.
Well, there's a difference between the report out from this advisory committee and like the actual ask,
Yeah.
like the actual like piece, so I don't know, but you can do whatever you want.
Well, I'm just saying, if we're only asking, what I don't wanna do is go up before the school committee, go out in public and be like, we're asking for this one thing for like, and have that just be one piece of like the broader, like.
Yep, okay, so you could add like kick off a three tiered approach, or like a 3-step approach, with phase one being implemented this spring.
Yeah, and request that the administration continue to work with the advisory group on rollout of the balance of the plan or something like that.
Mhm.
What does
Mhm.
everybody think about that?
Yeah.
I think that's smart, it's not gonna be just $1,000 once, you know?
Erin, you said website, signs, and what else did you say about the internal one?
I'm not wedded to these, but website signs, and then like the teacher rollout at the PD day, and the student rollout. Like I love the idea of having older students talk to the younger students, and then having the 5th graders have some agency. Like I loved like having them explain it and talk through it with each other, and letting the buildings like work through what that looks like.
Yeah, I wonder if we can talk to some student groups about this too, like, you know, whether we could, I know we're gonna be meeting with the student union soon,
Right,
you know,
going to the
Yeah,
Saga
Saga,
group.
yep.
Saga group, yep, we could talk to
They
them
might
about
have,
it. and-
they might give us some ideas.
Yeah.
Yep,
So since we have a student here,
yep,
I'm always
William,
curious, like, because we're, you know, we've got different perspectives, different generations, parents, et cetera, faculty. So when there is any kind of a message that comes out at the school, what do you find is the most effective way that you and other students latch onto it,
Like
You know,
take in the message.
Yeah, like, so we're talking about
Um,
like banners or signs, or is it more social media, or is it like a combination of the above?
Stickers.
Sorry.
Stickers are.
Social media definitely helps,
Mhm.
but I kind of agree with Mr. Mezzanotte on just having words on a wall, because like you'll read it at first and you'll take it in, but eventually it's just kind of words on a wall after a bit, and students just like walk past it. But like, social media constantly like promoting it, no matter with like social media doing constant like, I won't say events, but like saying it at like every quarterly check-in and stuff like that. Just like constantly pounding the idea into the students' heads, and then you really start to latch onto it more and more. And that's, for me, that's what I really like.
What's an example of that? Have you seen it, something like that happen? If you don't have one, that's okay, but just curious.
Like, well, I was gonna say, like, we do the quarterly check-ins, right? And the deans for each grade, they come up and say, they're like the Title IX things that are on the board, where they're like, see something, say something. We could always have the vision equity statement up there, say like, we're constantly working on this and that, and then you can, like, students will retain that, because you see it every quarter. But, that's probably not the best example.
No,
but
that's
it's
good.
just
That
like-
was helpful, thank you.
Yeah.
And like you said, to social media, like if we had like a graphic or a video
Yeah.
or something, like we could ask, like, you know, the clubs, like, you know, could the debate club push it out? Could the, you know, like, and have like the student account share it on their own social media, because that probably gets more attention than the NKSD
I think-
social media.
I kind of think images too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, images are going to have more of a lasting
Yep.
imprint. You know.
And I also really like the idea of having it on the website with the students saying, I belong. Like that I really, yeah.
It's, oh, there's my sister, I'm gonna watch again for somebody else I might know. I mean, you
Yeah,
know, and
it
if your
could be-
sister's doing, you're not gonna diss it.
I belong could be a group. We belong. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
it
it can
just-
kind of be a different.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Covering all
like.
bases, like having it, you could have it like on the wall, and you could have it like in images, like finding tons of different new ways to promote it so that you know every student's getting it.
To me, that's going to have a more lasting impact than nothing against the statement. We
No,
all,
no, no,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
we worked hard on the statement, and we had fun doing that. But like, I think that kind of image, you know what I mean? That's going to really, I think, communicate.
I wonder if the communications program wants to make like a video with all the images, like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Take all the different images, throw it into this one big video that kind of like represents, make sure everyone's represented in there.
yeah,
And then do like, you know, background song with the We Belong Together, or whichever one that would
You
be.
know what, I do like I belong,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
boy, that's active, and that is, I am going to claim my place.
Mhm.
I am going to be powerful. We belong is, yeah, that's nice, but
Mhm.
for my students, I want them to say, I belong, and I'm taking that.
Mm-hmm.
I am belonging, I'm speaking up for myself, I belong, oh, maybe this is just my own personal opinion, but I want them to say, I belong,
Yeah.
and I am going to go to the school committee, I am going to the town council, I am doing an action. Not we're all gonna,
Mhm.
I am.
Yeah.
So,
No.
I just feel it's more powerful, even though we belong is nice, I for some
No,
reason,
it's
I like the I
having
belong,
it
it
just over
resonates more
yourself.
with me.
Yeah,
And
it's
they
a
can probably even
self-empowerment piece,
take
like you
like
said, right?
videos, like clips of kids saying that,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And then they can
yeah.
put a
Mr.
whole
McCabe would
collage
definitely,
together.
Yeah.
Like they can have some still shots, and then they can have some kids actually saying, I belong, like different,
Yes.
different groups.
And are you gonna deny that kid their right to belong? Are you as an outsider gonna deny that kid, we belong, okay, well, yeah, we all believe in, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little passionate. We all believe in
Alright.
equity, yes, yes, yes. But that is just a concept. Are you gonna deny that child
Yeah.
their right to sit at the table? You
Yeah,
know,
I think
it's
that would-
different
I think-
message.
Right,
Yeah,
and
I
they're
like
always
that too.
looking for projects to do as a part of their curriculum, so they might be, and
Yeah,
then
Mr.
we
McCabe
can
would
put it up on the
definitely like that.
website.
We could even do for fairly inexpensively, like little stickers, I know you left with stickers that just say I belong,
Mhm.
right? Like
Right.
in NK colors,
Mhm.
right? Just something like that.
Mhm.
And
Mm-hmm.
stick them on, you know, kids could stick them on their Chromebooks,
Yep.
on, you know,
Do pins or something, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that statement can be the last thing on that video, our statement, like
Mhm.
all the pictures of the kids, then they're saying it, and then just still it with the actual statement.
Shivali, I like your ideas of doing those things as part of, like, the students, taking ownership, whether it's the signage or that, because I think it's always, I've said to my children when they're growing up, like, be a problem solver if you see something, and this is giving them like a tangible way to buy in. And I like the images. I think one thing that's really important in any kind of a school community is when you're using images to not just select like all the students who you always see.
Right,
All the
exactly.
leaders, all the sports people, because people are gonna say, of course they belong,
Right.
we see them all the time.
Right,
But reaching out to those kids who maybe like have like their quieter voices or are just not as visible, would be a great way. Like, that's why I'd like to talk to the parents, because myself being a parent of a nonverbal child, he would never be able to like speak up and say, yes, I wanna participate in this, and so, yeah. So I love the
right,
in-house.
that would be the whole point of
Yeah.
it too,
Right.
kind of,
Mhm.
like
Right.
to do it so that we can make sure that everyone's represented in that video.
So then the question is though, is like, cause we're talking at the high school level, and like, what about, I don't know if there is anybody who has children in middle school, elementary school, maybe not the social media is being as much of an influence for them. Maybe the
Oh.
stickers would be like a really good idea for
The
them.
social media, I am sorry, yes, in elementary school, social media is far more of an influence than I would like, and I deal with it far more than I would like.
Mm.
So I think that stickers I think are good too, because my niece that's at Amherst loves her stickers, but everybody loves their stickers, right? So I think stickers are great, but I think our kids look and participate in social media all the time, too much, but
Yeah.
that's another story.
If they're looking at it, they may as well have something good to look at.
Yes, they
Right.
might as well put a positive message out there, absolutely.
Okay,
so-
I just sent you the motion.
I'm gonna say this. I agree with you
What?
with the social media piece and everything you just said with regard to it. I have a little bit of a hesitation with like using social media as a thing to like work with kids below the high school level, just because I'm just
Tell
afraid
me
that.
more, because I wanna understand.
Here's what-
You think
here's what
we
I'm
don't
saying.
have active consent? I mean, that's reasonable
No,
question.
no, I just don't want it to come across like we're saying that social media use among younger students is something that we are okay with.
Promoting?
Because
But I
I'm not.
don't see being on the Instagram account for the district as, do you? I really wanna understand,
No, you just talked about like,
yeah.
or we just talked
Oh,
about.
maybe I think of social media as something different than you, that might be true.
Yeah, because we just talked about like using social media as a way to
Yeah.
promote this, and we were primarily talking about high school, I think, right? I just think like, and again, maybe I'm thinking this too much, but when it comes to the middle school piece, I wouldn't want to be like overtly promoting social media as a way to advertise this among middle school kids. I don't think we should be doing that.
Oh, you mean to not, I see what you're saying.
Correct. Like we shouldn't be saying to middle school
Like,
kids like,
we're
hey,
not
check out
sending them
Instagram
to-
because
Right, you don't
like
want a targeted
no,
message
like
on
we don't
social
want that
media
used.
to-
No,
I don't want
no,
that
I see
used
your
as
point.
a.
I was
Yep.
thinking more of them participating and representing diversity in our social media campaign.
100%.
So I think we were just talking different things.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You know, that's my whole thing. Like I
No,
want to
can
be
get
careful
that.
about like.
Get it. No, I can get
That's
that,
my
I see your
point.
point.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about stickers. I presume we're talking about like the decal ones that they can put on, like on their laptops or.
Yeah, like I have a bunch on my water bottle, they're washable.
So is that something
Mhm.
that could, like the high school with the printing, they could do like a massive quantity of stickers with the
So I
printer?
don't know about stickers, I'm gonna have to find out
Okay.
about stickers.
Because laptops
I know
could do, yeah, water bottles, like you said, this.
Well, you could also have students like design the stickers.
Mm-hmm,
Mm-hmm.
we could probably design, I just don't know if we have like a
Sticker maker,
printer,
yeah.
We budgeted for it.
Okay, so House is for a motion that Erin so nicely drafted. The DEI Advisory Committee recommends that the school committee initiate the rollout of the equity vision statement in spring 2025 with 2 additional phases planned for fall 2025 and spring 2026. For the initial phase targeting the internal community, the school committee encourages and supports the creation of a dedicated website, a promotional video, email communications, branded stickers, and a creative competition with awards. To support this, we recommend allocating $3,000 from the fiscal year 2025 budget with plans to incorporate additional funding in the fiscal year 2026 budget.
When you say dedicated website,
web page, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
So are we saying like just to,
no,
just,
I
are,
meant page.
Yeah.
are we talking about just like a link off of our website or
Yeah.
just like?
Like we have our DEI page
Right.
that's off the website, so like I
Okay.
would think like incorporate off that or incorporate the DEI page into like, cause Sally, you
Yeah, I've
had-
been thinking a lot
yeah.
about this and
Okay.
we aren't there yet, I don't think.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
But I would like to see it fairly prominently displayed.
Yeah.
Not hidden in like some
6
page.
links down?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like my only
But,
thought is, yeah.
It goes up
we're
there.
really not there yet, yeah, so.
I feel
yeah.
like it makes sense to have it, like, to get to the mission statement, you have to go to About Us and then mission statement. So I feel like it makes sense to have it under About Us.
Yep.
But then also for some amount of time or whatever, have it be part of that scrolling banner
Yep,
when you first
or
go,
the
or like a
news.
pop-up, or,
Mhm.
or like, yeah, have it
Yeah.
prominent, at least for some amount of time, but then also have it like sitting next to the mission statement, where the mission statement is found on the website.
Yeah, a lot of those pages had like about us and then equity, like it's like a tab.
It's almost a department in
Yes.
a way, yeah.
Well,
Like
it's
on
our
the
department.
like on the About Us page, like the first, if you go to About Us, the first thing is mission statement, and then About Us, and then organizational chart. If it was like mission statement, equity statement,
Mhm.
but then
So I
on
changed it to,
the homepage.
I took away the word dedicated, because it doesn't have to be dedicated, it could be on that same page, and I just put, like, should I put web presence? Like, web?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
maybe a little bit more open ended than
Yeah.
just
I
because
don't
I
think
think
that-
that having
I
a
was
few
like-
different,
Incorporated
You
into
know.
the website.
Yeah, that's what I envision, something like an equity page that lives on the website that has resources, so that we're not just rolling
Yes.
this out and letting people like try to figure out for themselves like what equity means and why we
Right.
have a vision statement and
Mhm.
some of the other things we talked about when we initially talked about putting this out there, resources, you know, around all like, you know, anti-racism, you know, disabilities, neurodivergence, like, you know, LGBTQ plus issues, like a page where we can have those types of things
Mhm.
live. And there's a lot of good examples out there.
So I changed it to web presence, and then I added a word, cause it sounded weird, so it just said, the school committee should encourage and support the creation of, like, cause we're saying to the school
Yes.
committee, we would like you to
Yeah, this is the
encourage and
motion that's
support
gonna go
and
forward.
allocate
Okay.
resources.
Okay.
wait, is this on here?
No,
Yeah,
I can jump,
sorry.
do you want me to put it in
You
there?
know,
or
Yeah,
I'm
on
just,
the-
yeah, just
yeah,
because
like there.
I'm,
No, I typed it and just shared it with Jen, for the purposes of
okay.
the minutes, like for her, what we can put on the, are you dropping it on that doc,
Yeah.
Jen?
Oops.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I just,
Yep, I thought I was dropping it on top.
Just
It's literally just
dropped
about-
it in the
I
middle of
just
a
dropped it
sentence.
in the middle, you gotta hunt for it.
Can I throw
Okay.
out something really random?
Yes.
I just was looking at the webpage, the rolling calendar at the bottom says our next meeting is February 5th,
I don't think that's right.
Okay.
but somewhere else it says the 12th, so I'm wondering if that's something we may wanna,
I
if
think it
there
is
were
on there.
somebody
we do have to
planning
look at that, cause I saw there was back-to-back Wednesdays that were on my calendar for.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
I will check that, Mary, thank you.
Okay, and just, because if people are planning to come,
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
it on my calendar as the 12th.
Stay focused.
yeah, do you know what I'm referring to, the rolling
I do.
calendar at the
Noted.
bottom?
Aaron, am I
Yeah.
missing
Yeah.
something? Did this?
Oh,
We got it.
on the
We'll
front
go
page of the
back to that.
website, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, so I just put the mission in that equity statement vision document. It's at the top of
Okay.
it, so everybody
The
can look
motion.
at it, yep.
DEI advisory committee recommends school committee initiate the rollout of the equity vision for spring 2029. I have 2 additional phases. Additional phases in the meantime, creating school creation phase, creation of web presence, stickers, and creative competition with awards. Branded stickers?
I don't know, like North Kingstown HS, like NKHS stickers is what I meant by branded, like not just a generic sticker,
Right,
but one
right,
that
right.
is branded with our colors and our
School
district.
district stickers or school, no?
It doesn't.
It doesn't,
not that
we
deep.
don't
It's
have
not
to.
that deep.
Yeah,
I'm
we
only
don't-
branded,
we
it's okay.
We don't have to
And
go
then-
there, okay. To support this, we recommend $3,000 for 2025. Plans for corporate additional, okay, yeah, that's good.
Anyone else have thoughts or comments on the motion? I mean, the biggest thing is the school committee just needs to, like the, Dr. Duva, the superintendent, is the one that reviews and assigns work to employees. The school committee does not do that by any means. But with the school committee's piece, once they got this, they can have a conversation about it, or whatever. And then we would talk with the administration, about like the feasibility of it, and then if like that seems normal, then it would be the vote on the, like, or asking the administration to figure out how we could pay it out of the budget. This amount actually is probably not even, we wouldn't need to vote on it, like it would be the administration figuring out which line it would come from, cause they control like the
Yeah.
line level budgets.
Okay. Is that everybody okay with the motion? Any?
I have a question.
Yes.
Do we wanna include anything about like if the administration wants to consult with this group on, I don't know if that belongs in this, or if they even want to.
I mean, they're here,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's
Okay.
not like, I hear what you're saying, Kalia, but like, I think the way that the
Not necessarily.
advisory committee is structured, like, it's really just getting the
Okay.
The okay?
okay from the school
Yeah.
committee, yeah.
Works for me.
Just because the advisory committees can't make independent decisions, basically.
Okay.
Can't force action.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, does anybody wanna make the motion? They don't have to say it, but does anybody wanna make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Anybody want a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor? Awesome. Woo-hoo. Okay.
Well, that's an example of like talking about a thing, of talking about a thing. It's a really important adult meeting thing to learn, so congrats on that lesson.
Will, any update on the survey?
So.
No
we-
is an okay answer too.
It's
Um,
got nothing.
I was
not
like,
much-
no, we know something, I believe in him.
Not much progress from last meeting, I'm just.
Tell us more.
That's okay.
That's not true.
Um,
We're doing some progress.
We have made more questions. We have not met with the student union yet.
Okay.
But when we do, Mr. Mezzanotte, we're trying to let him know so that he could attend.
Cause he's
if
gonna
possible.
facilitate, right?
Yeah.
And help you all, yeah.
And so, yeah, we really just need to get the student union meeting done, and then once we get that done, we'll have the feedback for the questions, and then we can create.
Is that gonna be during the school day or after school?
Student union is after school.
After school.
Like right after school.
I would be, if it's not inappropriate, I would not mind going and hearing the presentation and their
course.
feedback.
Yeah.
If you could let me know when it is, I would
Okay.
really like to hear who's there and what they have to say.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to feel like you're alone either. I mean, you're not the only, we're part of this committee too. And it's important, and I wanna support you, and I wanna hear them. So if
Okay.
it's at a time I can come, I would love to be notified.
Yeah.
We did talk about administrative and staff support, you just weren't here, so that's good.
There you go.
Quick question for the folks, like with the survey, what was the goal of meeting with the student union?
We were trying to get feedback from them to make solution-based questions that could possibly solve issues that students have with microaggressions, with racism.
Yeah, maybe, so they're gonna help inform that. Cool.
Yeah.
One of the things, and I thought Victoria and Will shared the questions with me, the draft questions they came up
Yeah.
with. And, do you wanna talk about those, Will, with the group, or?
We
I
promise
was
we
like,
won't
I'm
be meeting
studying for
about it.
midterms, could you talk?
I know. I got them right here if you want, I mean,
Yeah, hold on, let me get that.
no problem, take your time.
So the questions right now that we have are mainly focused on microaggressions. And we have questions on discipline, belonging and welcoming, racism, and LGBTQ+. And I'm trying to see if we have any more that we could possibly fit in, but I also feel like that could also be a conversation with student union to see what they think, see questions they could provide. But yeah, Mr. Mezzanotte emailed me and said we might wanna provide the definition for microaggressions, and stuff like that, so students know what they are before they start answering the questions.
I will say this is, I don't wanna get too off track. This has been an issue that we have struggled with for years, microaggressions, and been thinking about for years. I have noticed a decrease in microaggressions over the past couple of years as our sense of I belong, we belong, we're a community. So it's been, we educate about it, we respond to that, we problem solve around that. But really, I think the decrease has come partly through the increase in understanding what community is and people feeling like they participate. So I don't want it to get too off track in saying that, but that's where I have really seen the difference happen. We're all a community, and there was like a microaggression kind of thing, and the kid said to me, well, she deserved it, debatable, you know, quite honestly. And I said, did your community deserve that? And the kid was like, no, it didn't make our community a better place. So I don't want to offset the work you're already doing. I just think, from my experience, that microaggression piece is tied to the bigger message that we're talking about.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make kind of sense?
So,
You don't need to do anything different. I'm making a point for the record. That's all. You don't need to do one different thing, and I'm going to come support you
What's
just
the
when you're
document,
presenting.
the main document called?
Master file.
Thank you.
No, main file.
Yeah, I was like,
So-
no, we do
No,
not put
no,
things
it's
in.
not, it's main
So,
file.
the questions the draft questions that Victoria and William shared with me, I think one of the things that we want to think about is, you know, for the type of questions we're asking, what are we looking to discern from from what feedback we get?
yeah,
Right? The questions they're pretty open-ended.
yeah.
You know, they're pretty open-ended. The respondent can go a lot of different ways with it.
So do you want us to be more specific with
Well, To me, we gotta make sure the questions serve the purpose,
yeah,
right? So, I'll just say this, my concern, and I think these are great questions. My concern a little bit is that some of these questions could really, like we've talked about in the past, could really open up some real issues that are serious, that we would need to know about,
yeah,
to follow up in a way to help a student.
In a
who's
very
experienced.
timely way as well.
Right,
Yeah.
like this, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
if there's something here, because some of these questions can lead to revelations of experiences kids have had that
Yeah.
cannot just go back to, oh, okay, we know that, like, no, like, we need to look into this.
So what's a way to elicit that information but still provide for that which
Well, we
you're
already
talking
talked about this. No, we already talked about this.
Okay. I
What
didn't
did
know- I
didn't we
wasn't
talk
here.
about this last time? I'm having deja
We
vu.
did.
I go to lots of
We-
meetings, and so.
No, I do too. It's
Like, no, and this isn't a criticism on Willa Victoria, but like, didn't we get to a place where, I thought we had gotten to a place, and my apologies if I didn't get us there, that we had talked about the fact that the questions need to be solution-based.
Yeah, we'll
What-
use
Yeah.
that phrase just now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are the questions not solution-based? Is that the problem we're having?
Do you want me to read the questions? Or?
yeah, sure, go
You
ahead.
sure? Okay, so the questions were,
Will, you
one
wanna
was the
read?
topic of discipline.
Will,
the
you
question
wanna read
was-
the questions?
Well, you can read the questions, they're your questions.
He looks
So,
ready.
Yeah, he's good, yeah.
one of the topics was discipline, and the question we came up with was, how can we make classroom management and or discipline, at school more fair?
Rob, was
So-
that a
That's a
concern
good one.
question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
No, that's a
sounds
good
lovely
question.
to me.
Yep,
Okay,
that's a good question.
A+ from Mr. Resnati.
For microaggressions, we said, would you feel comfortable addressing the teacher who exhibited a microaggression?
Okay, that one's close, but no.
Yeah.
It's close, right? Like,
Yeah. It's
so what, I guess what would you all think, like, what's your goal of that question? Like,
Like, I feel, is it like what tools do you need to be able to
Yeah,
respond to
that would be good.
microaggressions?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
But that was where
oh,
I.
yeah. There was a second part to the question where it was, what would help you feel comfortable addressing this?
Mhm.
So, I guess we could kind of reword that to where.
I would
there's-
maybe also recommend, and I never say this, but like making it more broad, like maybe not saying teachers, but just making like, what would you need to address a microaggression?
Yes.
Yeah.
Period.
I
Maybe
agree
take the
with that.
hierarchy out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind
I
of just,
agree with that.
I think you'll still get what we're looking for, which is like, what do we need to help? What
Yeah.
tools do we need to give students? What do they need? But without adding some layer of complexity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, cause it really, like, it shouldn't matter whether it's a teacher, I mean, the dynamic is different, but if they're happening, like, what resources do you need to, like, move forward with them, regardless of whether you're experiencing it from your classmate, your teacher, or, you
Mhm.
know,
Do you think kids would totally get that you need teachers too, or do you think that's lost
Yeah.
by reframing the question?
They probably
'Cause that's
understand
important.
that it
Yeah.
could involve teachers as well.
And that was where, my only suggestion on that was to have some sort of definition of microaggression, so we are all
Yeah.
clear about
Yeah.
what it means, yeah.
So we're trying to take these questions and ask questions about problems that we already know exist, so we don't have to ask them, like,
Have you ever experienced?
have
do
you
think this
ever
is a problem?
experienced this, so it takes out the
Yeah.
possibility of people, like, responding with,
Mhm.
like,
You know what?
experience.
Might be helpful too, Will, if you, I always like to do this when I build a survey, like maybe Rob or whichever administrator wants, like go through and give them some comments about how to switch, how to reframe them, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
In that way, but then when you go to the student union, maybe bring the draft and just have, like, pilot it. Because that will help you know if they understand the questions, like have a couple of them
Yeah, yeah,
take
yeah.
it, and that'll help you maybe understand, like, did they understand the question, did we get what we were looking for, and then maybe the student union, or maybe have a couple students take it before you go to the student union, and then you could have them help you work through, like, hey, this question didn't hit, what do you all think, like, that might
Yeah.
be a way
That's a good idea.
to make it work.
One thing I think I heard is that some of the questions are framed like, what would it take for you to feel comfortable? And I think maybe one of the things that I would like to learn from the survey responses is what can we, meaning like what can school staff do to support you?
Yeah.
So instead of, I don't know if we can make it a little more focused than like, what would it take for you to feel comfortable addressing a microaggression, but like, what can
we do?
school staff do to help you?
How can the school help
Address.
address
Exactly,
microaggressions you may be
because-
experiencing, or
Right,
like,
No, I think, like, what I heard Sally
both,
say,
I think, are important, but,
you've gotta keep it simple too,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like, it's got, like, so, like, I liked what you said about, like, what can staff do to help you, like, or support you, or, like, those words are good, I think,
Support
like,
or Yeah.
really
advocate.
simple, like, keep it as simple as possible.
but is that like just specific to that one question, or would it be like specific to like all the questions, right? Like is that a question on its own? Like how can, or is that not solution focused and that's open ended?
I think it might be good if you just kept that one umbrella question and then put these, like, you know, on like chart paper or something, and let them just throw their ideas, like you can have a chart for microaggressions, a chart for racism, but have one question, because that's what we wanna know, right? We wanna know how we can support for those topics,
Okay, yeah.
you know what I
So,
mean?
like, put the topics up there without the questions, have them throw their own questions at it?
Or not even questions, just, question is one question, what was the question? How can,
what
we
can we
support-
do,
what
right?
can
What
we
can
do?
school staff do to support you with X?
with, and then
Or-
these,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
you know what I mean? To
Mhm.
like make it simple.
Mm.
But I don't want to like silence the other piece that I think you were putting forth, Will, which is what would it take for you, like regardless of school staff. So
Yeah.
you be the judge, right? Ultimately, but as one of
Right, so it's
the
one
members of
question.
this committee, I would really love to know what students want school staff to do.
Okay,
Not
yeah.
just what they want to be able to do themselves,
Yeah.
but what do they want school staff to do for them or with
Okay.
them? If
Or
that makes
assist
sense.
them,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
with
really,
them.
I really do like that question of, like, what would it take for you to feel comfortable doing
Yeah.
X?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a
so
really,
you
really
don't-
good question.
I'm not saying eliminate it, but
No, I think it's an
Maybe
and.
two questions.
There's two
Mhm.
questions there.
Mhm.
Well, other than figuring out when the student union, like, cause they canceled their meeting, right? This wasn't your fault.
Yeah, they canceled their
Yeah.
meeting before,
Which is fine.
like.
So other than that piece, what would be helpful from us in helping you and Victoria move forward, if anything?
Well, do you wanna keep reading some of the questions too? 'Cause we have
Uh,
to
sure.
do
I
that.
can do
just
that.
don't wanna, like,
I just
have the
think
entire
other things we
committee
have a hard stop,
wordsmithing.
cause we have the
is-
other meeting,
that too.
and like you said, like,
you can share them, right, with us.
Sure.
We
Yeah.
talked
Yeah.
about that and like we can help.
So
Sure.
it sounds like Rob has them.
I do, I can share.
Yeah. But I mean, you can probably provide feedback. I mean, I liked that idea, if you're comfortable with it, Will.
Yeah, it's totally,
That, you know, an adult like Rob, who has experience with writing surveys, provide some
Yeah, totally.
feedback
Yeah.
that,
yeah.
that could just help finalize and.
When's the next student union meeting?
After midterms.
I do
Yeah.
not know.
They meet.
I have to check with Victoria on that, but cause I don't know anybody on the student union, but.
Well, so we
I'll have to-
do, so there's a rep on the school committee, Josh, Josh,
Josh, yeah.
who is on the student union, he actually comes to school committee meetings, and so if you could email him.
I can also
You
email
could- you can-
the teacher coordinator, or
Yeah.
it's Mr.
I mean, it's
Mooney.
online, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have a date.
I can, if it's okay, I
Yes.
don't wanna like step on toes, but I can email the teacher and have
Yeah.
them give us
Yeah,
when the
that'd be
dates are, okay.
Yeah, I talked with Mr. Mooney about it, and we were gonna have the meeting, and literally like at 1:40, he was like, the meeting's canceled, like right when we were heading to it, so.
And it's okay, things come up, I was just trying to think
Yeah.
from timeline wise, okay, we know the student union meeting's on February sixth, like, that gives Mr. Mezzanotte a time frame for like getting you some info back, you know, like, that's what I
Yeah.
was trying to figure out, is like, making sure that we don't miss the next meeting, because ideally, I think it would be super helpful to have this out in February, so that this committee has like March, April, and May to kind of figure, you know, like I'm trying to think of like timeline wise, like February or March is kind of like, we would wanna get it out so that we would be able to,
So you can
Do
take the
something with
feedback and kinda like use it for next year?
yeah, like
Yeah.
I think, yeah, exactly.
Okay, alright.
So on that note about our next meeting, initially it was on the 12th, and then it got moved to the 5th because there was a conflict. And so that's why I still have it as the 12th, but it's showing up as the 5th in other people's. So the 5th is 2 weeks away, but it's before the student union meeting on the 6th, correct?
I made that up, I made that date up.
Oh.
Nobody knows when the student union, no one knows when the student union meets, that is a mystery that we are going to find out. I literally made it up.
Okay, so our next meeting is on the 5th because there's a building advisory committee that they had to schedule on the 12th, and that's why they had me move the meeting to the 5th, and I apologize, I had the wrong date on the agenda. I must have only updated one calendar and not the other.
You do have it right on the Google calendars,
Yes.
if people use those, and it is right on the website.
I looked
It's
at
just
my
yeah.
calendar, so I didn't change it on my calendar.
Got it.
So that's my fault. So it is the 5th and not the 12th. And then we'll have
I don't have that access, but you could change it on this.
a little bit of a break because of February vacation. And then we'll meet again on the 19th of March.
That's a long stretch.
Yeah. So is there anything else that we need to address formally today before the next meeting?
I don't think so, but I will say that I'm glad we had that time to talk about the questions a little bit, cause I had to reframe myself a little bit with
Yeah.
them, and this helped, so we can work together, Will, on like
Yeah.
getting them in the right place, okay?
Just 1 second. Sorry, this is the meeting before your meeting. No worries.
But yeah, other than that,
Okay.
good. Yep.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys want this, you don't want it, never mind. No, well, I'll say it for future, but the timeline's too tight. My sister-in-law has her PhD in educational measurement, so if you ever want to actually make sure a survey is like a solid survey, she said that she would help. So just bear that in the back of your mind, but you don't wanna do it now because she'll have to run some analysis or something, who knows?
Yeah, we are
So
not
don't do
going,
it
that is
now.
super good to know, but this is not statistically significant, like, we're just trying to get a pulse from the students to
Yeah.
increase
She
their
would tell you what
voice
numbers
in
you need to
solutions.
make
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
statistically,
Yeah.
so if you, but don't do it now, but if
Yeah.
there's something.
But that's good to
in the
know in
future-
life. I love a good educational stats person.
Okay,
So
so,
for the next meeting, so we, like 3E, I would really like to make
yes,
sure
I
that
know, yes, that's
if
why
we
it's
can bump
been
that
up there, yes,
so that we-
yes,
it's-
yep, absolutely.
For that meeting.
That's right. It was, cause I'm trying to remember, it was Colin?
May, yep.
May,
Yeah.
Yep.
okay. Trying to
It was me,
remember her
and I didn't do anything.
Yeah,
That's okay, no,
Yeah.
it's over here.
okay. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Are we gonna get the tape?
I'll get it, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody.